Have you ever had this exact experience? You're like watching an English film, or maybe you're sitting in this really high stakes meeting at work and you're listening intently to someone speak.
Right. You're really paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. And you know every single individual word they're saying. I mean, you could translate each word perfectly on a vocabulary quiz, but put them together, you just feel completely, utterly lost.
Oh, yeah, like they suddenly switched to a secret encrypted code right in the middle of the sentence.
Yes, it's so frustrating. And the culprit behind that specific brand of, language confusion is almost always the same thing. It's the phrasal verb. So, welcome to today's deep dive.
It really is an incredibly isolating feeling, though. You sit there thinking, I know the word run and I know the word into, so why do I have absolutely no idea what just happened in my colleague's story?
Exactly. Which is why today we're looking at this highly practical, just incredibly useful source script that outlines 20 essential A2 level phrasal verbs for daily English. Our mission today is to decode these expressions.
Decode them and, frankly, demystify them.
Right. We're going to categorize them so you don't feel overwhelmed and give you the tools to actually sound, more natural in your everyday conversations.
Which honestly is the ultimate goal for any learner.
Mm.
Because these aren't just like obscure vocabulary words to memorize for some grammar test. They're the absolute bedrock of how native speakers actually communicate in the real world.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we get to the actual verbs, what exactly are we dealing with here? At its core, our source defines a phrasal verb as a standard, everyday verb paired with a small word, usually a preposition or an adverb.
Right, a tiny word that packs a big punch.
Yeah, and when they join forces, they create a totally new meaning. I actually like to think of it like a chemical reaction. You take hydrogen, you take oxygen, totally different elements on their own, right?
Very different, yeah.
But you combine them, and boom, you get water. You take the word wake, you add up, and you have an entirely new concept. But, I mean, tell me, why are these so critical to master? Like, why can't I just use regular verbs?
Well, because phrasal verbs are essentially the secret engine of conversational English. I mean, if you actively avoid them, you might sound perfectly grammatically correct, sure, but you'll sound like a textbook.
Oh, like super robotic.
Exactly, robotic or just overly formal. Using them bridges that critical gap between just knowing English and actually speaking English like a local.
Makes sense.
Mm.
So to avoid information overload today, we're not just going to read a random alphabetical list of 20 words. We're going to follow the chronological flow of a normal day.
Starting right in your bedroom.
Right. The alarm goes off, and the source gives us our first two verbs, which immediately highlight why English can be so, frustrating for learners. We have wake up and we have get up.
Ah, yes, the classic morning struggle.
It really is. Wake up just means to simply stop sleeping, your eyes open. But get up means to physically leave the bed, to stand up. The source gives this super relatable example. I wake up at 7, but I don't get up until 7:30.
It perfectly captures a very human struggle, doesn't it? I mean, waking up is biology.
Yeah.
It's involuntary. But getting up, that is a choice. It requires willpower.
Hold on, though. I have to push back on this a little bit. Does English really need two completely different verbs to describe, like, the first 10 minutes of the day? I mean, most languages just have one word for waking up and starting your day.
It might seem redundant at first, yeah, but by separating those two concepts with two different phrasal verbs, English gives you a highly precise way to describe your morning laziness.
Okay, fair enough. That's actually pretty useful.
Right. It allows you to articulate the exact timeline of your morning routine.
So you finally summon the willpower to get up. You stumble into the kitchen, and here we have turn on and turn off, starting or stopping a machine or a light. You turn on the coffee machine. Later, you turn off your phone during a meeting.
Essential daily actions.
For sure. And finally, before you leave the house, you get dressed, putting on your clothes for the day. But wait, I'm a bit skeptical about something the source suggests here. It explicitly pairs turn on and turn off together as a learning strategy.
That is opposites, yeah.
Yeah, but is learning opposites actually a proven way to make things stick in our memory? Or is that just like a common myth we hear in school?
No, it's not a myth at all. It's a highly effective cognitive strategy. It's known as relational processing. When you learn opposites together, you're essentially creating a mental anchor in your brain's neural network.
So they're linked together permanently.
Basically, yeah. If you ever forget one, the brain naturally reaches for its pair to pull it back up. But what is really crucial here, especially for these physical morning verbs, is visualization.
Like actually picturing it in my head.
Exactly. If you want to move these from short-term memory to your active, usable vocabulary, you literally have to picture yourself doing them. Visualize your own hand turning on your specific coffee machine in your specific kitchen.
Oh, wow. I love that. Make it super personal.
Yes. Feel the physical reluctance of getting up out of your bed. Tying language to your personal sensory experience is what makes it permanent.
So you have to physically map the vocabulary onto your real life. Okay, I really like that. All right, so you're awake. You finally got up, you turned on the coffee, got dressed, and turned off the lights. Now you head out the door. We are moving into section 2 of our source, which is the daily grind, work, and study.
And the environment shifts here, and so does the tone of the language. You're no longer in the comfort of your home. You're in a professional or academic setting.
Right, you need to sound competent, but you still want to sound approachable.
Exactly. You don't want to sound like a machine.
So let's look at the verbs our source gives us for this environment. Imagine you're staring at this massive, complicated spreadsheet at 4 in the afternoon. You're exhausted. You don't just continue working, do you? You carry on.
Right. I carried on working even though I was tired.
Yeah. And when you finally cracked the code on that spreadsheet, you didn't just solve it, you figured it out. Figure out means finding an answer after thinking deeply about it.
Notice the subtle nuance there, though. Solving a problem sounds sterile, like a calculator doing math. But figuring it out implies a human struggle. It implies effort and ultimately triumph.
That makes the language feel so much more alive. It really does. We also have hand-in, which is giving your work or a document to a manager or teacher, like I handed in my report.
It's a very common one, yeah.
And look into, which means to investigate. But here's where it gets really interesting. The source also gives us catch-up, and it highlights this massive dual meaning.
This one trips up a lot of people.
I bet. On one hand, it means reaching the same level as someone else, like, I missed class last week, I need to catch up. But it also means spending time with someone you haven't seen in ages. Let's grab coffee and catch up.
Two totally different vibes.
Completely. So if a colleague emails you and says, let's catch up tomorrow, how in the world do you know if they want to review giant spreadsheets or just, go gossip over a latte?
Well, context is your only guide there, unfortunately. You just have to read the room. But what's fascinating here is the psychological warmth that these phrasal verbs inject into a professional setting.
Psychological warmth. Tell me more about that.
Let's look into versus its formal counterpart, investigate. Imagine you have a frustrated client who didn't receive their order. If you reply to their email with, I will investigate the matter, how does that sound to you?
Honestly, it sounds like a police report. It sounds like I'm about to interrogate someone.
Precisely. It creates a massive wall of distance. But if you say, I look into it, get back to you, it feels so much more collaborative. It lowers the temperature of the entire interaction.
Oh, that makes so much sense. It's the difference between wearing a tuxedo to work versus wearing a really nice tailored sweater.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. Like they both cover you up and they're both appropriate, but one makes people want to actually, talk to you.
I'll take that analogy a step further. Replying to a minor client issue with I will investigate is like wearing a tuxedo to a backyard barbecue.
You're just going to make everyone super uncomfortable.
Exactly. It's technically clothing, but it's totally out of place. Phrasal verbs like figure out and look into are the tailored sweaters of English. They invite teamwork.
I love the tailored sweater analogy. Okay, so we've survived the workday in our tailored sweaters. We figured out the problems. We handed in the reports. But work is only half of our day, right?
Right. There's a whole life outside of the office.
Exactly. The rest of our lives is about moving through the world and interacting with the people we meet along the way. Which brings us to our third group, navigating people and places. Social and travel verbs.
These are crucial for everyday connection.
Let's look at the social communication verbs first. We have call back, returning a phone call. We have bring up, mentioning a topic or starting to talk about something. And then we have this incredible pair, get along with versus fall out with.
Those two verbs essentially map out the entire human social experience.
You really do. Human relationships are kind of like a seesaw, On one end, you get along with someone, you have a good relationship. Like I get along really well with my neighbors.
The positive side of the seesaw.
Right. But on the other end, you fall out with them. It means having an argument that actually damages the friendship. Let's invent a scenario. You borrow your neighbor's expensive lawnmower, you break it, and you refuse to pay for it.
That's definitely going to cause a problem.
Oh, yeah. The source says, They fell out over something silly and didn't speak for months.
And notice we don't say we terminated our friendship. That sounds so clinical. We say we fell out. And to fix it, we might try to cheer up the person, to become happier or to make someone else feel happier.
Like, I tried to cheer her up by buying a new lawnmower.
Exactly. Empathy in action.
That's so true. Empathy in action.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can really see how these verbs are the essential tools for navigating empathy in English. Language isn't just about exchanging sterile data points.
No, it's about people.
Fundamentally, yes. It's about managing social bonds. When you try to cheer up a friend, or you admit that you fell out with a sibling, you are managing the emotional landscape of your life.
It just proves that mastering English is as much about building relationships as it is about memorizing grammar rules.
It's how we share our humanity.
I love that. Now, I want to ask you, the person listening to this right now, think about the last person you unexpectedly saw at the supermarket or just walking down the street. How would you describe that encounter?
A very common occurrence.
Which brings us to our travel and movement verbs. The source gives us run into, which means to meet someone unexpectedly, just by chance. I ran into an old friend at the store.
It is such a vivid image, isn't it? A literal collision of two paths.
It really is. The other movement verbs are heavily reliant on spatial directions. Set off, meaning to start a journey. We set off early to avoid traffic. We have another pair of opposites, pick up and drop off.
The classic carpool verbs.
Yes. You pick up someone to collect them in a car, and you drop off someone when you take them somewhere and leave them there. I'll drop you off at the office. And finally, get back, returning to a place. What time did you get back last night?
All very directional.
But wait, why does English use all these directional words off, up, back to talk about travel? I mean, why not just say return or collect?
Well, it really comes down to the psychology of spatial metaphors. English is a highly physical, kinetic language. We conceptualize time and progress as physical movement through space.
Oh, interesting. Give me an example.
So when you set off, the word off implies detaching from your starting point. When you pick up someone, you are physically lifting them into your journey. These small words inject momentum into the sentence.
They make the language feel active and alive rather than static.
Exactly. It's movement.
Okay, so we've walked through the whole day. Morning, work, friends, travel. We have our 20 verbs. But having the vocabulary in a list is one thing, right? Applying it in the real world without sounding robotic or without making a critical error that confuses everyone.
That is the true goal. Application.
Which brings us to the final section of our source material, the 3 big traps and how to actually learn this. Let's walk through the 3 mistakes our source identifies. Mistake number 1, separating inseparable verbs.
Yeah, this is where the mechanics of the language usually trip people up.
Big time. The source explains that you can say, "Can you pick me up?" That is perfectly correct and honestly much more natural than saying, "Can you pick up me?"
Pick up me sounds very clunky.
It does. But you can never say, "I ran my friend into." You have to say, "I ran into my friend." So what does this all mean for the listener? I mean, why on earth can I separate pick up, but I can't separate run into?
It seems totally arbitrary.
Is there some secret grammatical formula we're all missing?
There actually is a mechanical reason for this, though honestly, I strongly caution against overanalyzing it mid-conversation.
Fair enough, but what is the reason?
It has to do with transitivity and how tightly the preposition is glued to the verb's core meaning. Run into functions as a single conceptual unit of collision. You cannot put a person inside of a collision.
Okay, that makes visual sense.
But pick up involves a physical action that is being done to an object. You are picking the object up.
But, I mean, how am I supposed to remember that transitivity rule when I'm just trying to buy coffee and speak naturally?
You aren't. And that is exactly the point the source is making. If you try to hold complex rules about transitivity in your head while you are speaking, you will freeze.
You'll just stand there with a blank stare.
Right. The source advises you to listen and copy. Notice how native speakers naturally put the object in the middle of pick me up. Your brain is an amazing pattern recognition machine.
So just trust my brain to figure it out over time.
Through cognitive chunking, yes. If you hear pick me up enough times, your brain will store it as one single sound profile.
Basically, trust your ear, not a textbook rule. Okay, mistake number 2. Using the wrong small word. Saying fall out from instead of fall out with. Or get along to instead of get along with.
This usually happens when learners try to translate word for word from their native language. It's a very common trap.
But as the source correctly points out, you cannot learn fall and out and with as separate pieces of a puzzle.
No, you have to learn it as one single unbreakable unit of meaning.
Going back to the chemical reaction analogy, you don't drink a glass of hydrogen and a glass of oxygen, you drink water.
Exactly. You use fallout with as one single compound.
Oh.
If you change one element, the whole reaction fails. The meaning just evaporates.
And finally, mistake number 3, and this might be the most, I don't know, tragic one, avoiding them completely.
Oh, I see this all the time.
The source notes that learners will default to those formal single words because they are absolutely terrified of making a grammatical mistake. They'll say, I will investigate instead of I will look into it.
It's a classic defense mechanism. You retreat to the safe vocabulary because you know it won't break any rules.
Right.
But my advice here is to really reassure yourself. Don't let the fear of grammar rules cause information overload. The source has a wonderful mantra for this. Phrasal verbs are your friends, not your enemies.
I love that. You're friends.
You have to embrace the mistakes. Let's say you accidentally say, I ran my friend into. A native speaker will still know exactly what you meant based on context.
They are going to be confused.
Not at all.
Yeah.
They might notice the slight error, but communication, the actual exchange of human ideas, still happened perfectly. Mistakes are literally how the brain calibrates and learns.
Phrasal verbs are my friends. Okay, so what is the ultimate strategy for mastering these 20 new friends? The source gives this brilliant piece of advice. Slow learning is strong learning.
Very true.
Do not try to memorize all 20 of these today. Pick 5. That's it. Just 5 for this week. But why just 5? Shouldn't I be trying to learn as fast as possible?
Fast learning is usually fast forgetting, unfortunately. What the source is suggesting is a form of spaced repetition. If you cram 20 words today, your short-term memory will dump 19 of them by tomorrow morning.
You'll just wake up blank.
Exactly. But if you take 5 and truly integrate them into your daily life, they move into your long-term memory. They belong to you forever.
And the absolute fastest way to make them feel natural. The source says you have to speak them out loud. At home, alone, with zero pressure.
This is a phenomenal, scientifically backed tip. Your mouth physically needs to practice making the sounds, not just your ears hearing them.
Wait, really? The physical movement matters.
Hugely. When you are alone, the fear of judgment is completely gone. You can say, I woke up at 7, I turned on the coffee machine, to your empty kitchen. It builds muscle memory in your jaw and your tongue.
Oh, wow. I never thought about the physical muscles of speaking.
It moves the knowledge from the theoretical part of your brain down into the motor cortex.
It's like practicing a golf swing in your living room before you go out to the actual course. When the pressure is on in a real conversation, your body already knows what to do.
Precisely. You don't have to think about it.
Okay, let's do a quick high-energy wrap-up of our journey today. We took a deep dive into 20 essential phrasal verbs. You now have 20 new friends to help you navigate your mornings, like waking up and getting up.
They'll help you at your job.
Yes, like carrying on and figuring things out. They'll help you with your relationships, getting along with people and cheering them up. And they'll help you travel, setting off, and getting back.
And remember the core strategy from our source material. Pick 5 for this week. Connect them to your own life. Make your own sentences.
And speak them out loud in the safety of your own home. Just 5. You can totally do that. As we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought. We've spent this whole time talking about how phrasal verbs make you sound warm, human, and approachable.
Right, how they are the key to actually connecting with people.
Exactly. So, if phrasal verbs are so natural, so warm, and so undeniably essential to real human connection, why do so many traditional language classes and textbooks prioritize the stiff, formal, single-word alternatives?
It's a great question. What does that say about how we traditionally teach language versus how humans actually want to connect with one another in the real world?
It really makes you wonder who designed those textbooks in the first place, doesn't it? Just, something for you to mull over.
Yeah.
But the next time you are sitting in a meeting or watching that English film and you hear those little combinations of words, you aren't going to feel lost anymore.
You're going to know exactly what's going on.
You are going to hear them for exactly what they are.
All
Just old friends dropping by to say hello. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. Catch you next time.